ndio tulitembea na wewe Kenya mzima, tukakutafutia kura, tukapanga Kenya hii mpaka ukakuwa rais, tukakupigia kura mara 3. Sisi ambao unatudhulumu, sisi ambao unatupiga vita, sisi ambao unatutesa. Mimi nataka nikwambie mheshimiwa ndugu yangu rais, sisi tumeona yale umetufanya, lakini kwa sababu sisi ni wacha Mungu, sisi tumekusamehe. Sisi rais tumekusamehe na tumekuachia Mungu. Umetufukuza kwenye makamati ya bunge, umevunja chama yetu ya Jubilee, umetuita majina tangatanga, umetuita wezi, umetuita takataka. Lakini nataka nikuambie ndugu yangu rais, sisi ambao unatuangaisha, sisi ambao unatutesa, sisi ambao unatuita majina, sijui takataka, sijui wezi, my friend, sisi ndio tulitembea na wewe.
Well, a lot has happened over the last 3 days, and a lot has happened today as well. We had invited Moses Kuria to the program, but he has withdrawn, so he will not be joining us. We carry on our discussion with David Murathe, the Jubilee Vice Chair. I can immediately get an immediate response from you on what the Deputy President spoke of this weekend in Thika, I believe. And it seems, if you carry on with his narrative, that you really frustrated him and his allies. David Murathe, do you agree to those accusations this evening? And you are commander-in-chief, it seems, of the attempts to frustrate. He has said it before in previous interviews.
It is not true. They decided to walk themselves. Ruto has been quoted in the past saying, mulinifukuza ODM, hamwezi mukanifuata munifukuze from Jubilee. We didn't chase him from Jubilee. They have gone. Actually, technically, the DP should be man enough and resign, because the Political Parties Act and the Constitution of Kenya says that if you move from the party that took you to your position, you're deemed to have resigned from that party. Now, technically today, all those members who went to that NDC, because for you to participate in a national delegate conference, you have to be a member of that party. Otherwise, you are going to check with the registrar of political parties. If it is indeed true that those people who went there as delegates are members of UDA, we are going to get an advisory. We are going to write to the Speaker of both houses, the National Assembly and Parliament, and those people will have to vacate their seats. They have to declare vacancies. There's still 4 months. They can enjoy the 4 months going around campaigning for their preferred candidate, but they will have left their seats.
Are you telling us this evening what Governor Anu Egoro, Governor Kahiga of Nyeri, the MPs that were there, is there time, is there purpose to what you're talking about this evening?
It is the law. Once you have defected from the party that sponsored you to Parliament, a vacancy is declared. Now, whether there would be time or the timelines for a by-election is available or not, the fact is, if the party writes to the speakers hands are tied. They have to do the communication, issue a gazette notice, and declare the seats vacant. It's as simple as that. It's the law. It's not us.
Okay. So is it a threat, or is it definitive that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow you're writing?
We as a party are writing to the Speaker of the National Assembly. We are writing to the Speaker of the Senate, declaring, in fact, it was a resolution at our NDC that all those people who will be promoting the affairs of other parties will be deemed to have resigned from the party. With the DP, it's a bit different, and we are going to ask for an advisory opinion, and I'll tell you the reason. When the DP first ran with Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, he ran on a TNA ticket. He was the leader of URP, but we had to issue him membership of TNA because that ticket has to have identity, and it has to, if the president is a TNA, the deputy had to be a TNA. That is the reason why you cannot now have the president as Jubilee and the deputy as a UDA. Unfortunately for them, if it were coalitions, and this is the difference that people need to understand, you can now have, if you're in Azimio coalition, and you know there are different member parties, you can have the candidate of president belonging to one party and a candidate for deputy president coming from another party. And even in their case, for example, if they form and register the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, you can have the UDA candidate as the president, and you can have the ANC candidate as a deputy. But the way things are right now, I don't know how it is possible that the president is on Jubilee and the deputy is on UDA. And to save Kenyans all this, the honorable thing for the deputy president to do after he was now nominated officially as a UDA candidate is to resign. But these guys are like, they want to have their cake and eat it. He still wants state largesse. He still wants security. He still wants to receive delegations in a current mansion. I mean, even these guys want to go to Bunge, they want to have allowances, they want to have salaries, and yet they are deemed to have resigned from the parties that sponsor them to parliament. I think it's highly dishonest.
Vice
it's very
Chair,
dishonest.
let me pose a few questions to you that emerged from today's NDC. One, the rallying call at the NDC was the alleged use of state machinery, KRA, DCI, weaponizing of them to bully those supporting the DP.
So why aren't you there yourself?
Is there any truth to that?
Why haven't
It's not about me.
KRA come to you?
It's not about me.
Why hasn't it gone? You know, I talked about Alibaba and the 40 thieves. There are so many members of UDA, of the former Jubilee, who have no cases, who have no questions to answer to KRA, to DCI, to EACC. When they come for you, stop hiding behind your party. If you have a case, last week there was a Kenya Gazette. You know, the EACC is supposed to publish in the Kenya Gazette the status of their investigations on certain cases. Two cases came out strongly, one against Anne Waiguru and one against Moses Kuria. It's not us. It is the EACC who are highlighting the status of the investigations against those cases. So, kila mtu abebe msalaba yake. If you are clean, you would never have to go to the DCI. You would never have to go. But the allegations are there. They do the investigations. Gachagua, I don't know, 7 billion contracts against government. I don't know what. It is, he's in court. There's the evidence. He has to prove. It is not targeted. If it is Aisha Jumwa, for example, and there's a murder case, and there's allegations that she shot someone, because you are in UDA, you should not be taken to court. It is not selective.
Okay, if it's not selective, which
You
is
brought it on yourself.
what they then pose, why have we never seen any way forward on the KEMSA investigation, David Murathe, one of which I've spoken to you about on this program?
Exactly.
You even went to DC, I believe, to give evidence because of some information you had?
I took myself to the EACC.
Or you're the one who took yourself?
I took myself, I was not summoned. They agreed, there was a PIC investigation. I went to Parliament. In fact, it was live on your station and many other stations. The allegations against the company that I was alleged to participate with, which was called K-League.
Not alleged. You later on said you did.
No, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
K-League, I was not a shareholder. I was not a director. I was not an owner. I was guaranteeing K-League against the targeted kits which they were getting from the manufacturer, the supplier. K-League, the company, never supplied a single item to KEMSA. They never invoiced KEMSA. They were never paid a penny to KEMSA. The companies, and I will send you that report, that were paid for KEMSA, unfortunately, they were associated with the deputy president. There's a company called Karesha, go and find out. It's a relationship with the DP's wife. There's a company called Shop and Buy. Okay. Go and find, no, I'm giving you all this. Go and find out Puma.
Why have the agencies not come out with this? You seem to have information that other Kenyans don't have.
But those reports are there. They are in the Kenya Gazette. And those companies are known, and their owners are known. These people wanted to use this to say, fine, we are thieves, but even the other side is stealing. But I can give you the litany of all those companies and their owners and their relationship
The president
to the
gave
deputy president
EACC
side.
and DCI, EACC 21 days.
They did.
Surely, if they have the information you're talking of, don't you think they'd have called the media by now?
They gave the report. The PIC report is a public document.
No, but you're linking them with notable personalities on the other side of the political camp. Where's the proof of that?
Because
They
it is in the register of companies.
that you have access to. Because we
Even
as
you would
media,
have.
We were never.
I want you to go and check who are the owners
that
of
information.
Puma. I want you to go and check who are the owners of Shop and Buy. I want you to go and check Karesha Limited. The whole, in fact, I'll send you the whole list, and you will be shocked to see who are the owners of that. And by the way, that KEMSA thing, which they were calling the COVID billionaires, is a scandal.
And which they say is being used by your allies now, on the Azimio side, actually quite strongly.
No, let me tell you, this was an emergency procurement. Maybe there was a problem in the manner in which the procurement was done at KEMSA, but the interventions that were done at that time by KEMSA were correct. If you look even at the so-called overpricing, the prices of masks and kits and whatever initially were very high, but they kept coming down. And that is why that issue has never, ever actually been resolved. But I don't want to dwell on that one because they actually, that whole story now, they killed it, but the things that they're accused of are real. Arol and Kimwaro is real.
So let me ask you, before we move on, how did they kill it? Now that they say they no longer enjoy access to government as they did before, how did they kill it? How would they be able to do that?
They were using it politically in public platforms, behind the veil of protection in parliament, because they had some immunity. But when the PIC, a committee of parliament, when they investigated and they came out with a report, they shut up. They could no longer use that as a propaganda tool to vilify the Jubilee side of government, which was not the UDA side of government. And you'll be shocked, the majority of those people were in the UDA side of government.
This evening I read a story. KEMSA is staring at a loss of 1.5 billion Kenya shillings following the expiry and slow sale of COVID-19 related goods. Who should be held responsible for this loss, David Murathe, this evening? Money Kenyans will never see value for.
I think there was a problem at KEMSA because what happened is that they had to do an audit. Number one, whether all those things that people claim to have delivered were delivered. Then there had to be the issues of payment, whether you are still going to pay those people. Because remember, these were commitment letters. And there was a point at which they had even agreed to negotiate with those so-called suppliers who had inflated the prices. Most of those equipment, PPE, kits, and whatever, they are still lying there at KEMSA. In fact, at the time, the cabinet had authorized the Ministry of Health to dispatch those kits to the health centers. You remember there was a time there was even a nurses strike because they didn't have kits. And the kits were still lying at KEMSA godowns. Cabinet. The deputy president sits in that cabinet. They passed that resolution. But because of the nature of the investigations, they were not going to touch those kits, they were not going to pay for them. In fact, there's going to be serious, serious litigation. And if it's about procurement procedures, which may not have been followed, those should be prosecuted.
I'll be keenly waiting for that report. You say you have one. We'd love to see it here at our newsroom. Let's move on in the interest of time. I want to read a message to something you said earlier. Kimani Ichung'wah has sent a message saying, please tell Murathe, word for word, we are fed up with death threats. They can, in fact, it's called them useless threats. No single UDA-affiliated MP is moved by the threats from a dead party. He can shut his shell of a party now. We've left it to him. You've said today that you're writing to the register of political parties.
They are on record saying if we want to kick them out, they are happy to get out. The honorable thing for them to do is to get out. They are no longer members of the Jubilee Party. So on what basis are they in parliament? You see, these guys are full of contradictions. The other day, they say they don't need the president's support. The minute the president chooses to support somebody else, crybabies, they start throwing tantrums. They go wild, they go boiro. It's like they've been stung. You know, And they are saying, oh, now, betrayal, I don't know what, kumi-kumi. I don't know whether they actually drink kumi-kumi. Kumi-kumi they have served. Uhuru has served 10 as president. Ruto has served 10 as deputy president.
I don't think that's what is the original
meaning. The presidency is a pair. Unless you want the deputy president to do another 10, which means you have done 20. Seriously, let's face it. In fact, there's a lacuna in that thing. That when you run for governor, for example, and you're deputy, when you go home, you both go home. How is it then that when the president goes home, this deputy president stays? The legals need to have a look at that whole arrangement because it's based on the same principle. It is the same principle. You can check in the law.
Okay, that is your reading. Let me read a few messages from a few of our viewers today, and we'll put a few up. Someone says here, as we saw today, all prominent Kiambu politicians are with Ruto. The only prominent leader from the county supporting Azimio now, it appears, is Governor Nyoro. Yet Kiambu is Uhuru's home. Isn't that a red flag, David Murathe, this evening? That is a real problem.
I've told you, and I'll repeat it again. The deputy president's game is hypothecated solely on Mount Kenya. And he has thrown everything at it. He's even poking his fingers in our noses, thumbing the president's backyard. This week, I'm told he's going to Gatundu, the president's backyard. We have never tried to go to his own backyard to insult him or to even rub him up. These people, I told you, is about optics. And I have told you, we are no longer interested in people who are going home anyway. We're going to go directly to the voter, to the people. And we'll tell them the reason why for us, why not Ruto and why Raila Amolo Odinga. They want to choose to listen to us. They want to listen to the other side. Let the people decide. That is, this optics is politics.
Let me read another one here from another viewer. Ruto repeated today that he helped the president win in 2013-2017, that it is his time now. Having been in the 2013 and 2017 Jubilee team, would Uhuru have won without Ruto?
Any day. Because whenever you pair up, you always have demographics and regional distribution. I believe if he had teamed up with Raila Odinga, for example, he would have gotten more votes than he got from William Ruto. Ruto brought what, 1.4 million votes? Uhuru brought 5.6 plus. I mean, Uhuru's getting together with Ruto was a peace dividend. We don't want any more violence between our communities and the neighboring communities in the Rift Valley, the backyard of actually, and it worked. So it was not so much about William helping Uhuru to win. And in any case, there is no guarantee that because you supported me this time, you know, in politics, there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies. We have our reasons why Ruto should not be the next president, because we have experience. We have experienced what he can do as deputy president. And we shudder to think what he can do if he actually became president. And I'm glad, because right now these guys are now perfecting.
In 2017, you are the same ones who told Kenyans, do not look at Raila Odinga as a potential president.
This is politics. This is competition.
So what should Kenyans believe? Because in another 5 years, you might be telling them a completely different message.
But we have our story cut out. We are saying who it should not be, because we have a track record. We have an experience with him. And we are saying, why do we want Raila Amolo Odinga? And we have talked about the Mandela moment. We think Raila has come out of that shadow of vengefulness and whatever. He amekoma. And we think this one, I would rather deal with Raila, who we can give the benefit of doubt. But this other one, we know what he will do to us. And that is why we are saying, this is a man who is a friend of...
Like
let me finish, Wahiga.
Politicians who say
this
anything...
is a friend of Museveni, who has removed term limits, This is a young man who can remove term limits in Kenya and rule for the next 30 years.
I pose this to you. Kenyans will find it hard every 5 years to be told a different message about who they should support and who they shouldn't. But it's your view as a politician and as a Jubilee Vice Chair today. Let me read a few tweets here, and we've put them up on the screen. Abala Kinywa says, the repeated claims of vote rigging in 2013 and 2017 can no longer be treated as sensational.
I'm surprised, because we had a tallying center. You remember the Krieger report of 2007? Krieger said it was impossible to even know who won. Krieger said in some cases, parts of called those days, or whatever they were called, were recording 102% voter turnout. That there was rigging on this side and rigging on that side. And in fact, these are some of the things we are trying to deal with now. But to the best of my knowledge, there was no rigging. There was no rigging at all. It was a properly executed campaign. In any case, the numbers are known. And I'll tell you, even this one, I can map for you how Raila will hit 64%.
64%. You're not even talking about 50% plus one.
To 36. 64. Watch this space. Mount Kenya will give...
I won't even ask, because...
Mount Kenya will give Raila more votes than he will get from his native Nyanza.
Okay.
His other base is intact. These votes from Mount Kenya, which he will get, he has never had.
Okay. Let me read the other 2-3 messages. Then we wrap this up. Dennis Itumbi, dear Jubilee, bring it on. Kicking out UDA Kenya legislators from parliament is welcome. Now, bado hamjaona what we can do as a hustler nation.
Then why wait? They should basically just tender their resignations tomorrow and go, be honorable gentlemen, go to parliament and say, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have quit the party that brought me to parliament, declare the vacancy. What are they doing there? Why are they hanging on there and they know the law? At least have some decorum.
Okay. Let me read it out. Well, last one. Wanaoni Mike. Ask Murathe and Kuria. No, Kuria wasn't able to join us. He withdrew. To rate Uhuru on a scale of 1 to 10, how do they rate his performance? Top 4 agenda, food security, affordable housing, universal healthcare, manufacturing, and job creation.
Uhuru has built more roads than all the previous 4 governments combined. Uhuru has introduced universal health care. Uhuru has given free maternal care to women. Uhuru introduced free secondary education. He has given stipends to the elderly over 70 years. Uhuru, in terms of power penetration, has done more than 80% penetration. He has done more connectivity than all the previous 3 governments before him. I would rate Uhuru 8.5 to 9%.
You sound like you're mentioning our debt levels. Some would say during that same period, over 8 trillion shillings in debt that Kenyans will have to pay for. Over that same period, corruption scandals to a magnitude that had not been heard of before, or a frequency that had not been heard of before as well. Some say that is his legacy. My friend, except the KEMSA scandal in the 2nd term, all the scandals associated with the Jubilee administration were in the 1st term of between 2013 and 2017. But when the 2nd term came and Uhuru put on the screws, and some of those people could no longer access those kind of deals, they threw tantrums. Number 2, nobody lends you money unless they know you have a capacity to pay. In terms of the relationship between what you're borrowing and GDP, countries like Japan or America are 150%, 200% of what they have borrowed. And borrowing is not such a bad thing anyway, particularly if you're borrowing for infrastructure, the base. What Uhuru has done with that money, you will never need to spend that money again. And what he has done if you open up the roads to Nyandarua, and the milk is moving, the potatoes are moving, the vegetables are moving, it is the ease of doing business. What Uhuru has created is an enabling environment for people to do business. You may say you don't eat roads, but you know, if you go to my rural town market center today, where he has brought power, those young men are welding, they are doing the windows, the local windows, etc., etc.
this multiplier effect, you may not feel it immediately, but in the long haul, Uhuru has created the enabling environment for people to do business. And by the way, a lot of our people don't rely on government to give them largesse. They just want government to create an enabling environment for them to do work.
At what cost and finally, at what cost did that development come? Because some question the sort of economy the next government, whichever party or side will form the next government, will inherit.
But they will never have to do them again. If you do the railway, you never have to do another railway. If you do the roads, you never have to do another road. If you connect water, you never have to do it again. If you connect electricity, you never have to do it again. That other government, because they won't have to do these huge infrastructural projects, will now have a lot of money to do other social programs. The ones the
that
Prime
money is
Minister
going
is
into
promising.
debt, to be honest. That money is going into debt, and you know it. You know how much of our annual revenue goes into debt at the moment.
But you won't ever have to borrow again. So it's about repaying, correct?
Yes.
But because of this enabling environment, you are going to stimulate this economy. What did Kibaki inherit from Moi? A 190 billion economy. What is Uhuru handing over to his successor? A 13 trillion economy. Look at those numbers and how much you can generate. There'll be enough to pay the debt and be enough to do all these other things. Look at the kind of development that has come with CDF. When Uhuru took over, that was the first time people experimented with devolution, correct? Where, okay, maybe in some areas money is being pilfered. But to a large extent, there has been heavy, you can feel it. You can feel devolving the money from the center. And that's why we wanted this BBI to increase to 35, etc. But these guys wanted all the money again, left in the center, and that is why they were fighting more devolution.
I think I'll call you again another time to talk about economics. As we wrap this up, David Murathe, what sort of role will David Murathe be playing in September, October, November, depending on whichever side wins? What next for you?
The same roles I play. I am not in government.
You have no intention of being in government?
I have no intention. If I wanted to be in government, I would have been in government in 2013. We have a party which we are rebranding and revitalizing. Remember, we said our task at that point was to kick out these people from Jubilee. The next thing was to rebuild the party, rebrand it, and reinvigorate it. The next thing is to kick out UDA from Mount Kenya. That's what we are going to do, and we're going to build a national party, part of the Azimio party, and you mark my words, we are going to more and more entrench democracy in this country.
Okay. One question that's come in, and one that's been coming up quite a bit. Who should deputize, since you seem to have a clear understanding of what's happening on the Azimio side? Who should deputize Raila Odinga?
For us, it doesn't matter. You see, for them, they are caught up in if you do, you're damned if you don't do. For example, the ANC are demanding at UDA to get the deputy president. The Mount Kenya guys are also demanding it. So you give Mount Kenya, Western works. You give Western, Mount Kenya works. For us, we just want our fair share of government. We don't...
Your opponents are saying the same thing. That,
no. They want the deputy president slot.
Waiting for the deputy president slot.
That's what they're waiting for.
Side.
And by the way, for us...
There's no expectation of a deputy president from the Mount Kenya on the Azimio side.
It was unconditionally. But, pro rata, what we shall contribute to that basket, we expect our fair share of that government. The only other small little thing I would have liked to say, Wahiga, which is a bit upsetting, is the radicalization of the young people of Mount Kenya by the UDA brigade. And that narrative of today about the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. That is a very dangerous path to take. And if you look at the radicalization of our young people, which is being done only in Mount Kenya, they don't do it in their backyards. And you have people there clapping. This is a very dangerous recipe. In fact, what these people were crying about today is preparing this country psychologically for chaos, particularly if they lose.
Those are your words. And again, if you have such strong proof of that, please take it to the authorities. I think it's
not rocket science.
Again, if you have.
When you start hearing people talking about rigging even before the election and such kind of things, what are they telling you? They're telling you to prepare. In fact, they said it in the US the other day. None other than the deputy president in the United States.
Okay.
He said the election will be rigged. What is he doing? He's preparing people for the defeat. And when he's defeated, he will say it was rigged.
Let me ask you this.
That is a recipe for chaos.
One last question from a viewer who says, clearly the gloves are off, Uhuru versus Ruto. Won't it be embarrassing for the president should Ruto win?
Why would it be about Uhuru versus Ruto? Uhuru is not on the ticket. Uhuru is not on the ballot. They are missing the point. They should be dealing Ruto versus Raila Odinga. But to try and make this a contest between Uhuru versus Ruto, and in any case, by the way, there are presidents who have supported their candidate and they have lost. Obama supported Hillary Clinton, correct? She didn't win. You know that. So it's not like it's the first time in the world that a president pronounces himself on his preferred choice and the people refuse. And we will live with that.
Life will move on.
Life will move on.
I think that's a safe note to leave this. David Murathe, Jubilee Vice Chair, thank you for your time today. It would have been great to have Moses
I
here
would
with
have
us.
loved him here.
We'll send an invitation. If he's acceptable next time, we'll have him on and then we'll give you a call
Okay.
if you have some time. It sounds like there would have been a lot to talk about. But thank you for shedding light. State of the Nation, Jubilee Party, development, Uhuru legacy as well. I'm seeing more of your messages, but we're just going to have to wrap this up. Our time is up this evening. Thank you once again for your time. And thank you to all our viewers who tuned in. And Honorable Moses Kuria, it would have been great to have you. Invitation still stands, so you let us know when we can have you on the program. But for now, we wrap this up on behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible. Thank you for tuning in this evening. My sign language interpreter has been Wilson Mushora. And on behalf of everyone who's made this broadcast possible, once again, asante sana. Wherever you've been watching us from, have a good night, stay safe, and may God continue to watch over this country of ours. Good night.